Johnson here.
Yeah, howdy, fellers.
Yeah,
Uh,
well,
yeah, eventful week here. Lots of
definitely
stuff
a
to talk
eventful
about.
week. Johnson here.
Yeah, howdy, fellers.
Sorry about that, everybody. I think you might have heard an echo. Well, I think the intro didn't get there. Welcome everybody to Dirty Air Podcast, episode number 5 here, where we're going to talk a lot about Martinsville, and then got some pretty cool news. NASCAR changing some stuff up, and yeah, like that. But pretty much a pretty big week, I'd say, in the news week, right, Brian?
Well, yeah. I mean, we got this 2020 schedule. We had some penalties. I didn't run this by you, but we got some things to talk about when it comes to these penalties. And
Yeah,
yeah, highlight, you know, schedule. Martinsville
that's for sure.
and the
Martinsville.
finale.
Yeah, some schedule changes here at hold on, sorry everybody if that I'm trying to our Facebook up it's
I can check real quick
on the play.
here.
Sorry for any technical difficulties. Anybody out there? We're trying something new. I'm trying to learn. Uh, we're trying to stream
Let's
to
see.
two different platforms here at once.
Here
I believe I'm having some issues. We are active. The Facebook is still connecting.
goes.
So
Says we're
so
live
we're
ish.
live on
Live
YouTube.
ish.
Sorry anybody for just beginning here. I'm trying to figure out some um
Yeah, Facebook still isn't working, but
Facebook's not working. Let me.
well, I guess while you're doing that, I could
Yeah,
talk some stuff up. I
yeah.
reckon.
Start off. Let's start off with Martinsville. And then we'll
Yeah. So
go from there.
so Martinsville this past week we had a new record for most laps led in a race in the modern era. It's not the all time. But Brad Keselowski led. Let's see, I just had it here. Where'd that number go? I don't know. He led for 440 some odd laps, which is yeah, 446. So 446 laps in a race, any race, but especially Martinsville is ridiculous. Um I think Chase Elliott led a handful of laps, and then I think was it Joey Logano led like 5 or 6. So uh dominant performance by Brad Keselowski there, which to me wasn't surprising. He's been pretty solid at Martinsville in the past, and the Penske cars have been looking good all year. So I figured he was going to get a win here soon, and got it at Martinsville. But that 9 car right behind him, Chase Elliott, he was pretty close. If Brad Keselowski wasn't there, I think the 9 car was definitely going to lead at 446 some odd laps.
Yeah,
So Chase Elliott did a great job, and I guess the 9 team as a whole did pretty good, even though the rest of the Hendrick cars were very, very subpar.
yeah, that's for
As
sure. And
Can I hear you now? You
yeah,
good?
yeah. Everybody out there on the stream should hear me now. I believe we got Facebook going now. It just took a little while to connect for some reason there. So anybody out there tuning in on Facebook, welcome to the Dirty Air Podcast, episode number 5, where
Hello.
we're gonna mostly
Howdy,
talk
fellers.
about yeah, my co-host here Brian, and episode 5 here about Martinsville and really these new news from NASCAR and some sim racing stuff too. Sim racing news that we got some really excitement stuff today. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and yeah, know, let us know in the chats if everything's working good, because that's for sure what I want to see. Because this is the first time I attempted this. I probably should did a test, but I like to go on the fly, and
Hey, sometimes you just gotta go balls deep.
that's right,
First time.
Ryan. You definitely got to go balls
First
deep,
time.
and sometimes and just you know, throw it all. Let's see if I can. I don't. Okay, I don't even know. I think we're up on Facebook. I can't
Hang
tell.
on, I gotta
It
check.
says it's connected. Um, Sorry again, everybody. I should just I we if we can't get this working, we're just gonna stick to YouTube because YouTube's easy. And
I think we did. We were talking about being in other places
yeah, well,
for your convenience.
yeah, definitely. And oh yeah, definitely. We're looking into it says Bob says he's watching. Is it working, Bob?
Hello.
I see the chat.
Let's see here.
Did set it up right.
Got 2 comments on the video, so it must
Yeah,
be doing something.
it's
But
not
I
playing for
can't.
me, but
Yeah, I can't get it to play either. But Bobby does say he's watching, so howdy, Bobby.
YouTube is
And
working. Yeah, I just don't need
Robert says you
Facebook.
did set it up right.
Yeah, I set it up all. I mean, I don't know. I'm confused now.
Well, hey, sometimes
This
these
is
things happen.
embarrassing. This is embarrassing. We need.
Well, hey, it's not as embarrassing as Race Spot earlier.
Yeah, they had a tough time tonight, I guess, on
God,
streaming that peak race. But
a
yeah,
peak race, man. Yeah, drop
Facebook. Yeah,
frames and
Robert says
buffering every
Facebook's
5
not
laps.
working. Yeah, I'm just about to disconnect the Facebook, guys, because it says it's connected and won't play.
Yeah,
So
but it's okay because yeah, we'll be streaming live to YouTube for
yeah,
now. But then I think in the future we'll be going on to possibly iTunes, possibly Spotify, definitely SoundCloud.
yeah, we
Just
will.
gotta get all that set up.
Yeah, Robert, I set it up right. It's all set up right. It's got all the keys and stuff, but I don't know. Heard about it now. I'm just gonna delete it.
You didn't pay Facebook money.
Yeah, I guess I deleted it. So that stream, I need to delete it now. I'm sorry, everybody. This is totally terrible. I hate stuff.
That's good. These things happen.
Why just stick to Facebook or just stick to YouTube
Do the
a little bit
tubes.
here for me. It's fine, Robert. I deleted it, so it's already gone anyways. So I don't really do. Yes, please. Okay, so well now I don't know. It won't. I have no clue what's going on. It won't let me delete the live video. So, but I'm done using this. Never again. Yeah, let's talk about racing. This is a bad way to start.
Yeah,
I
well,
really am frustrated.
we were on Brad Keselowski's dominant performance at Martinsville. I'm actually on the NASCAR website right now. They got a question. It said, "Who had the most dominant NASCAR win in recent memory?" And it's Brad Keselowski's 19 Martinsville. He led 446 laps. You got Kyle Busch, 2016 Indy, led 149 laps. Martin Truex Jr. 2016 Charlotte led 392 laps. Kevin Harvick in 2014 at Phoenix for ISM led 264. Now, who do you think, which one has the majority of the votes?
Um, the Martin Truex one. I was there for that. So in my opinion, I would vote for that one because I think that track's a little harder to dominate. But
Well, you would be right. He's got 52% of the votes,
yeah, because I
followed by Brad Keselowski for this past Sunday with 30%.
definitely that was one of the most dominant performances by Martin Truex. This past week, I mean, Brad Keselowski led 446 laps. There was only 3 lead changes, so the only people that led were Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and the 2 car Brad Keselowski. But the way I really look at it is, it's really one of the things like I read a lot into this after the week, and still like people were like Kyle Busch said this pretty much in his to some other reporters about how the higher downforce package, like the cars still race pretty similar to what they did before. It wasn't like dirty air was affecting them more than anything. It was really there was not as much tire fall off. Guys are especially the rear end. The rears were a lot more planted at Martinsville this time, and you didn't see as abrupt of balance changes. I would say you didn't really have to save as much. It was more just go from the beginning, and I really noticed that when Chase Elliott took the lead from Brad Keselowski and just pulled away. It was kind of like, well, you get the lead, kind of, you could kind of just get away from the field. And also another thing I know Chase and his crew chief were talking about is they got up close there where Brad, whenever they ride behind him there, he would just heat up his brakes, and that in turn heats up the air pressures in the front tires, tightens you up. It just hurts the car overall. And I think Brad didn't have to deal with that with him leading. And even Brad, I mean, you heard him after the race, him saying that the 9 car was better than him a lot of the times, and it was just
Yeah.
he thinks the pit crew won it for him, which they kind of did. So
And those changes they made, they worked on Brad Keselowski's car during the race. I don't think they touched the 9 at all.
yeah, they touched the 9 one time. They did an air pressure change. That's the only thing they touched the whole race. Brad, they made a wedge adjustment. I know that later in the race, and yeah, it was kind of who got out front could win. I mean, those 2 cars were just dominant. I think Blaney had probably the best car in the long run. I noticed that a
Yeah.
few times.
It usually does. I know
Yeah,
the past few times we've gone to Martinsville, when it goes green, Blaney kind of just marches up through the field. Because I know I'd be sitting there and I'd watch him for a few laps, and he just snake on through.
yeah, he
But
definitely
then
looked good.
after the restarts, he trash.
Yeah, he was decent. I mean, he was still top 5 car after restarts, but he never had that. You know, Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski's car were just all around good. Um, Chase Elliott had one run where he did kind of fall off, but he said he burned it up himself, like just the way he was driving it. And you know, so many people like were on Facebook and or Twitter and stuff like that, up in arms about, oh man, this is pretty much the worst Martinsville race we've seen in a long time. Someone to lead 446 laps, but it's like, yeah, there wasn't a lot of changing going on up front, but still was a great Martinsville race in my opinion. That track always
Oh yeah.
puts it on good there. There was battles all around the track. There's tempers flaring, and that's the reason why it's my favorite racetrack really, and it's just pretty interesting
And
to see.
that's the reason why they've been racing there since what, 48, and they ain't never left.
Yeah, definitely, and
That's why
they
they keep
never
going
will.
back.
Yeah, and hopefully they never will. But it's just one of them things. I mean, the Martinsville race this weekend, I think, was the spring race is usually calmer. I mean, I think the spring race last year was worse than this one, in my opinion.
Well, the spring race last year was kind of awkward because,
Yeah,
it got snowed out and delayed, and then we went there. I mean, it was kind of nice for us because when we went into the stands where we had our seats, I mean, it was completely empty. We had that whole section to ourselves.
yeah,
So it was kind of nice from that respect. But yeah, I think when races get delayed like that a day, I feel like the teams get a little burnt out, and the drivers are just kind of ready to go home, get it over with, because they know that, hey, now I've lost my day off.
right, definitely. And it's just I don't. It was frustrating to repeal, mad at that race, but hey,
Hey,
it
keyboard
happens.
warriors.
Yeah, those are the it's usually the people usually the people over there that are complaining about it are usually the people that are not as just not as knowledgeable. I would say usually the people that speak up more about stuff like that, and just interesting. Definitely,
Yeah, because everybody in NASCAR, I mean, I didn't see or hear any driver really have a big issue, or at least it wasn't in the media much.
yeah, like Kyle Busch said something about it. That he just thought the tire
He's
fall
always
off
got
wasn't as
something to
good.
say.
Yeah, Kyle. I think he at least he tells us
That's a
how it
good thing,
is.
though.
Yeah, exactly. I
We
can't
need the
remember what
critics.
other driver it was. There was another driver out there who said that he thought it was harder to get past. Oh, Martin Truex Jr. said he thought it was uh an issue passing this today at Martinsville. He thinks it had something to do with the higher downforce and the more grip on the rear end.
See, and that's
So
crazy because
sorry
a
about
short
that.
track, you usually don't think about downforce being a factor,
Yeah,
but
even I
just with
mean,
the amount of downforce, and we kind of like what really sticks out to me still is that Auto Club, Kyle Larson, where he was up front, and I mean he had the best car when he was in clean air, but as soon as he passed lap cars, the second and third place started catching up to him. And then when he had that pit road penalty and he got into the back of the pack, he never got back up to the front. So it's kind of crazy that Martinsville is kind of showing the same thing. Oh, okay. Well, brain fart. Well, I did come across something here. Another big story. Kind of a smaller story, but Kyle Busch had his 1,000th NASCAR career start this weekend, and I decided to look up who has the most all-time combined series starts. And when we get Zach back here after he quits fiddling with his technologies, I'll ask him to see who he thinks. It should be pretty obvious, I think. Uh, he's got 1,182
Okay,
starts.
I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. I was just making sure everybody knew on the Facebook side that we were having issues, and to come check it out on YouTube. But continue again, Brian. My bad. I'm completely sorry about
Yeah,
that.
so Kyle Busch had his 1,000th NASCAR career start this weekend.
Hmm?
So who do you think has the most all-time NASCAR career starts?
Richard Petty.
Yeah, I knew that was too easy.
I mean, even Robert in the chat. I think Robert got it right too. I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
at the
mean
chat right now. He said,
that's pretty easy. Okay, but all right. So who do you think has more starts? Jeff Gordon or Dale Jarrett?
uh, Jeff Gordon.
Meh.
Well, hold on. You saying non-Cup series? This is all starts.
This is all combined.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Dale Jarrett.
Yeah, Michael Waltrip actually has more than them. So you got Richard Petty first. Uh, you got Joe Nemechek has the second most all-time starts
Wow.
with 1,160. Then you get Mark Martin, and then Kevin Harvick actually comes in fourth with 1,120.
Wow.
Then Michael Waltrip kind of close behind at 1,072. Morgan Shepherd at 1,019. Terry Labonte, 1,017. Jeff Burton's got a little over 1,000. Kyle Busch right at 1,000. Dale Jarrett has 997. Let's see if I can
Very
get here
interesting.
to
So
how many's Jeff Gordon got?
I he's got like I know he had the most in a row.
Kyle Petty has 885. Jeff Gordon's right behind him at 878.
Yep. So looking back at Martinsville, I mean, how would you grade the race, Brian? Is it a pretty good Martinsville race?
Hmm.
It wasn't like the best Martinsville race, that's for sure. But
Well, yeah,
how would
because
you
I'm all
scale on
there.
a scale of 1 to 10?
1 to 10. Hmm. I give it a 6.
Okay.
I would give it a 7 if somebody got mad, but nobody really got mad.
Oh, you didn't watch it then?
I mean, at the end of the race, nobody spun out
Oh,
nobody
okay,
in the
yeah, yeah.
race. Nobody went up,
I
gave
I
anybody
gave
the
it
finger.
I give it a 7. Um, I think it had a lot of good racing. You know, it's Martinsville. I'm always gonna be
It had
biased, I
good
guess.
racing, but it won't.
Um,
Short track racing, you want tempers to fly, and
so,
tempers didn't fly. But that's okay, cause in the in the fall we'll have that'll be a chase race, and so tempers usually fly during chase races, especially when they're short tracks. But uh, speaking of fall races and spring races and whatnot, kind of move on from this past weekend's race and go to
hold
the.
up. I want to talk a little more about Martinsville.
Oh,
Tell
you
a little
still
bit.
got something else?
Yeah, yeah. So thing is, okay, so Bobby gave it a 5 in chat, and Robert gave it a 4.
Mm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm.
A 4. So that's pretty
Harsh.
low. Yeah. Is that because I want to know in chat, Robert? Is that because Brad Keselowski dominated so much? We'll see what he
He
says.
don't
But
like
the
Lasky.
I
around
mean,
here.
we did have Stuart Haas. That was pretty interesting. Boyer had some interesting radio things during that
Oh, he's
race.
always got something.
Yeah, and Harvick and Almirola and him got into it in the race, and it's kind of wondering how their team meeting's gonna be this week.
Well, it's their cars were so similar on speed. They just could never get away from each other, and usually that does spell disaster. I mean, we've seen that with 24 and 48, that one stretch of races that one year where they just couldn't get away from each other, and they started getting pissed off at each other. So
Okay.
it happens.
So Robert's response is no, it was just a boring race. Okay. I mean, I can see you're bored by that, but I can tell you I wasn't. Yeah, I mean, hitting and banging, that's gonna happen, but the thing is, like, it's a spring race. It's not as much on the line. We come back here in the
That's new
fall.
package too.
New package. I don't think helps it personally for hitting and banging. Because it's a little bit harder to
But
get
it knows what
closer.
it's gonna do.
Yeah, and that's it. It's interesting. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's the first Martinsville race I watched on TV, and six time in the six past six. So it's definitely something. And like I went to spring race last year, and the spring race last year was dismal compared to this race. I think you have no cautions. Actually, we have one spin out. Actually, one car wreck last year, other than the two stage cautions. So three cautions at Martinsville last
Oh
year.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and it was that
Yeah,
race.
because I missed so much of the race because I went to go get my hot dogs.
Yeah, that took you a while. Those lines were big because they only had a certain amount of stands opened.
But I was like, man, I ain't going to Martinsville not getting a hot dog. I
Right?
gotta get some hot dogs. So I waited in line, gosh, for 40 minutes, and I think I bought about 8 or 10 hot dogs.
Yeah, that's for sure. And
I did share them though. I didn't eat all of them.
but before we move on from Martinsville, the biggest thing I want to ask is, this is a really important track. uh, do, you know, with people being like Bob and Robert, they didn't really enjoy the race as much. I know it not because of Brad Keselowski dominating. That's what they said in the chat, but a lot of people that's what their reasoning was. So shoot, like, what's your opinion, Brian, on people not liking a race because someone leads too many laps?
Well, it's kind of my go-to phrase. When you're good, you're good. Hey, if you're the best, you're the best. If somebody doesn't like it, well then get better. You know, that's that's all there is to it. Brad Keselowski and Chase Elliott, you know, uh, both of them had the best cars, and nobody had anything for them, so they ran up front the whole race. And if you don't like it, well, you go buy yourself a car and you go beat them.
Yeah, I think when guys do this feat like Brad Keselowski did this week, I think it needs to be more
Oh, it's impressive.
touted, I guess you could say, and be like respected. Because not every race is going to be a battle for the win. I mean, when you come out and dominate like that, that's just showing. That's like, wow, that's impressive. And I don't know. I look at that as almost like, because I was at the Martin Truex race where he dominated at Coke 600, and man, like watching those things happen is like that's very rare to see someone dominate races like that. This isn't Formula One where a guy leads the whole race. I mean, there's cautions involved.
Uh,
There's so much stuff that stops the race
but
with
yeah, I
pit
mean,
strategy and stuff is that can really affect it. And I mean, I think people get a little overreactant to worrying about the lead instead of the rest of the field. And I mean, you had guys like Austin Dillon start 33rd. He finished 7th, and like he was coming through the field, man. Boyer had 2 speeding penalties, and he drove through the field. I mean, it's the thing. The cream of the crop are going to rise to the top. It's just Brad Keselowski started up front. Um, he was there. Chase Elliott started up in 8th, and both them guys got pretty early up to the front, and they never gave up that track position. So we never got to see, them get back field. So, just congrats to them. Really, that's what I say. I can't wait when we come back here in the fall. It's gonna get wild. It always is wild in the fall, with so much on the line. And I think Brad Keselowski and Chase Elliott are pretty excited for this race probably again.
Oh yeah, well Chase Elliott is one, he's always pretty good at Martinsville, and two, he always likes it. And I think when you like a track, you tend to do a little bit better at it. But you know, going back to this whole dominant thing, uh, people complaining about, oh, he led this many laps, that many laps. We only had three lead changes, this, that, and the third. Well, we've only had one race in NASCAR history, at least in the modern era, where somebody led every single lap, and it was
Yeah,
by a guy you wouldn't even think,
I know.
and it's Jeff Burton at New
Yep.
Hampshire.
And you know what they had on the cars there, right?
Restrictor plates.
Yep. It was when after Adam Petty and them died, or it might have been the
Pulled that
Nemechek
out of
one.
my ass.
Yeah, they had restrictor plates in the car for that race. So and there was like no passing because of
Hmm.
throttle response. And what do we have right now? We have nice
I
tapered
sense
spacer.
a theme here.
Yeah, and that's
There's a
actually
correlation.
that actually leads into a pretty good topic here for me
Dun,
because
dun, dun.
um I found a chart today that someone made is percent
Oh, chart.
or passes pretty much the amount of oh what oh this is
Remember, you got
completely
your
different.
x-axis and your y-axis.
Oh my god, I thought this chart was passes throughout the race compared to the year before, but it's not. So interesting there. But this is actually the percent of yeses by Jeff Gluck. His Jeff Gluck, if anybody knows, is on Twitter. He does a huge thing where like he posts every time after the race, was this race a good race or no, with a poll, and a lot of people respond to it. Uh, with this new package, it seems like the only race so far throughout this whole year that people have approved the race more or liked the race more than the year before has been Atlanta and Las Vegas. So two of them out of the five. Let's see. Well, no, we'll include the Clash, so that's six. So yeah, it's this package. I don't know if it's the right way NASCAR went, but we still have more year to go. Go to Texas next week, so that'll be interesting to see how the cars handle Texas, especially the new configuration of Texas, the way it's like it is now. I don't
I
know.
think it'll be good. I
It
think
could
because
be
this is going to be the first compromise track that we've been to with this package.
true. I still think they'll be able to run wide open in both corners, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Um, we'll see.
But the 30 air is going to be huge because,
Yeah,
just watching IndyCar races at Texas and doing a couple IndyCar races and iRacing that I did, gosh, a year and a half ago. I mean, 30 air is just gigantic at Texas with those things. And, you know, NASCAR, we got, the dirty air disease now. And,
dirty air podcast too.
and, so I think you're really going to see cars push wide, especially probably out of two, since there's less bank in there. But we will see. I'm
Yeah,
kind of excited for it a
yeah,
little bit.
definitely. You know, Texas next week will be interesting. I don't know. I I hope it's better because I mean the track's been pretty bad ever since they repaved it. I mean that's normal too for repaves, but we'll just have to see and take it in. But do you have a prediction made for a winner next week?
um, you know what? I'm gonna go way out on a limb. Way out.
All
I'm
right,
going way, way out. Eric Jones.
all right. That's hey. You know Eric Jones
He's
runs
doing
good at
pretty good.
Texas. He runs good at Texas too. So
He does.
um,
What about you?
I'm gonna pick. Okay, you know
Can't pick Kyle Busch.
no. You know what? Damn, Bobby in the chat just took my pick. Ryan Blaney. I'm gonna pick Ryan Blaney.
That's a good pick too.
You know, Ryan Blaney's actually ran really good at Texas in the past. I mean, we do have a different package, but the Penske cars, he's not won yet. He wants it, you know. And I think Blaney can pull it off, man. I hope he can. I love Blaney. He's one of my favorite drivers. Robert St. Joe Logano, so we're going Penske there too. So interesting. Thanks
Yeah,
for putting your input in the
y'all
chat, guys.
took the easy picks.
They got the easy ones. I mean, Blaney's not an easy pick. I mean, he could run good, he could run bad. You never
He's
know.
a Penske car.
Well, I mean, if his team keeps jacking up the car and letting it drop,
That's true.
can't have the
But I
same
mean,
pit
you
crew of them.
also, could depend on the penalties. You see the fines that NASCAR put out after this weekend?
I didn't.
Good grief! Let's see if I can find them real quick.
Lug nut
But
penalties?
yes, they had 4 lug nut penalties, 3 in the cup, and 1 in the truck. And really, my problem isn't with these penalties. I think lug nut penalties, it's a safety thing. I get it.
Definitely.
But my problem is these fines. Uh, dang it, where are they? I saw it earlier. Here we go. So you had 3 people, 3 crew chiefs get fined after Sunday's race. So you got the number 3 crew
Yeah.
chief, number 36,
30.
and the 47.
Wasn't
So
Daniel Hemrick involved? I think. I thought it was
uh,
both RCR cars, but I'm not sure. I know the 3 did.
yeah, it's just the 3, the 36, and the 47. So each of them got fined
$10 grand,
$10,000.
yeah.
Okay, so the number 3 car finished 11th, 47 finished 16th, and the I think Matt Tiff, they don't give his number. I guess he's a 36.
Yeah.
Finished 29th. Okay, fine them $10,000. Kyle Busch won the damn race, and he had a lug nut penalty, but they only fined his crew chief 2,500. And I get it; it's the truck series, it's a lower series. But you're
Oh,
telling me
yeah. That
that a winning truck is going to be fined less than a car that finished 29th?
I I have to agree with that because the truck teams are way, way even compared to like a backfield cup team. Truck teams have nowhere near the same amount of money. Like
No, but I mean,
it's different. It's different in my opinion. Like
so you're telling me that if you finish 29th in the Cup Series, you're going to get more money than if you win in the Truck Series?
yeah, definitely
Oh,
are.
that's messed up.
You're definitely making more money.
That's
The
that's
truck
crazy.
series is not very profitable. I mean, Kyle Busch should be praised for keeping his team there. I mean, you see what Brad Keselowski did. He shut down his shop when they changed the stuff.
Oh, that's true.
It's not profitable. These teams can't afford that shit. And
Well, okay, I guess the
I'm
penalties
the
make
way the
sense,
way you
but now
gotta
the
look at
money
it.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, the way I look at it, man, is teams are leaving those lug nuts loose and off for a purpose. They're not. I mean, sometimes it may be a mistake, but it's definitely a purpose, and NASCAR needs to catch
But
that.
especially because, these lug nuts that they're penalizing these crew chiefs for, they're the ones after the race.
Yeah,
So those are the last pit stops they do.
very last ones that you
So
try to get everything out of.
there's time to be made up, and if you know, a half a second here and half a second there, and gets you 3 positions on your finish, that's worth $10,000,
Yeah,
especially when it goes to charity.
and the big thing is safety, safety, and we've seen this really come out. I think 2 years ago, and it's because we've seen so many loose wheels, and then wheels falling off cars, and just stuff that could be very dangerous when it comes to racing. I'm not saying this could happen, but if a car wheel comes off, it hits another car at a high speed rate, that tire can bounce higher than you think it can. Those things will
Oh yeah,
launch,
that thing go up 100 feet in the air.
and that will kill a human being, multiple human beings. If that thing was to hit them. So it's one of the things like
It's like
I
that one
understand
time,
NASCAR's point of view.
I forget which track it was, but there was some wheel that came off of some car, it had hopped over the wall in the infield and landed on somebody's camper. It
Yeah.
had like a little
Yep.
uh
Like a
like a
netting.
little yeah,
Yeah.
and it hopped over that wall, landed
I
on
remember
top
that.
of that, and took the whole thing down.
Well,
And there was
IndyCar
people
race,
under that thing.
the IndyCar race at the I think one of the only IndyCar races at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Um, it had a death actually. Yeah, a death from a tire bouncing into the infield and killing a spectator.
Wow,
So
that's crazy.
tires killing spectators is not an uncommon
Ex-
thing.
And that's
You
true. I
know,
mean, those things weigh about 60 pounds.
more than that actually. I believe it's like 80, 100.
Are those what are they? They run steel rims?
That's a good question, Brian. We'll definitely have to
Uh,
look into that, man, after this
yeah,
podcast.
we'll
But
have to look into that next week.
yeah, because but I know they're heavy. That's for sure. Especially when they're pumped up and just crazy stuff. That could be devastating for NASCAR, and that's something they can't have happen. So
Well, no, I
yeah,
mean we hadn't had a death in NASCAR. Well,
yeah,
since
and
Earnhardt,
Burrell
really.
actually added a pretty good point in chat. That's why IndyCar tethers and F1
Yep.
tethers their tires now. And
Tethers were a great idea.
yep,
I think
definitely.
NASCAR ought to look into that.
Yeah, well, you can't really tether tires in NASCAR technically. I mean, could, but there's really no
Well, not
point with
just
the
the
having
tires,
fenders.
but everything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can tether.
I mean,
Yeah, tether
they
parts.
do
Yeah, yep,
tether the trunk lid, I think.
yep. Trunk lid is tethered on, so that is true. But that is something maybe NASCAR could look into, tether more parts on car. But I don't think they had too many issues like open wheel cars have with that. But
Or maybe instead of 5 lug nuts, they could go like F1, just
yeah,
one big one in the middle, and then they could do the blown wheel nuts,
yeah.
get some
Well,
aerodynamics out of
that
them.
actually got outlawed in F1, so definitely.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it did.
Oh,
Yeah,
I missed that one.
yeah. This past year, it actually did. So no more
That's a
blown wheel
shame.
nuts. But pretty much the next topic here. Before we move on to, I know the big thing, 2020 rule, schedule change. We'll get into that.
Dun,
But
dun, 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 dun,
first,
dun.
we do have a rule change for qualifying that I want to talk to you about.
Oh yeah, that's big too.
And so this is NASCAR's official statement on qualifying changes coming because we've seen, you know, the track stats Saber Spacers be, I would say, a shit show. With people leaving pit road and camping pit road, trying to get them keels.
Well, yeah, I
But
mean, nobody is happy in qualifying now.
no, nobody. And
Fans, drivers, teams, nobody, and you can't have that.
exactly. So this is NASCAR's statement. Starting at Texas, oh sorry. Any
Oh,
driver that
bless you.
does not take a lap in any of the qualifying rounds will have any previous time posted in that session disallowed, which means instead of falling back on the previous round's time, the driver would start the race from the back of the field. Additionally, any driver
What?
who blocks the pit road at the judgment in NASCAR in any way or prohibits drivers from exiting pit road will incur a penalty such as disallowing the team's posted qualifying speed and disqualifying that car from any additional qualifying rounds. Starting at Texas, vehicles not immediately making a qualifying attempt will be staged in a track-specific area designated by NASCAR. Once the vehicle leaves this area, it must continue directly onto the racetrack. It cannot stop at the end of pit road and wait in any gamesmanship play. So, pretty much the gist of that is, you know, just well, the big thing is if you don't make time in a round, then you start in the back of the field. So
Yeah,
you
you
definitely want to
have
get
to
a
put
lap
if
in.
you make the second round, you gotta post a lap in the second round. If you make the third round, you have to put
A
a
lap
lap
down.
down in the third round, or you're starting at the back.
Yep.
Which I think is,
I think that's the
I think
best
that
change.
rule right there is. I mean, they could have just done that one, and I think they would have been okay.
I like the other changes though too here, which the other ones
The other
are,
one's good too, though.
they have a track specific. Each track will have a specific area where you can park on pit road, and once you leave that area, you have to go. And they're also leaving the middle open, because the Auto Club they pretty much block the middle. and if you're at the back, you know, it would really you got stuck back there. You're kind of at the mercy of everybody up front to go, and I don't know. NASCAR won't go back to single car qualifying. First of all, that will never happen.
Ooh.
I mean, maybe it could, but this is the thing is like no TV. NBC and Fox, they don't want to broadcast an hour and a half broadcast. Mostly TV, in my opinion, and it does kind of suck because I think that would be better right now with this package, at least not at short tracks and road courses and stuff, but it's single car would be better, but right now I think these changes they made will make drivers in the teams more like, okay, we have to put a time down. I don't care if we are a first car, we gotta do it, and it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out in Texas this week, but really all I got on it, unless you got anything else to add, Brian, to the change there on pit road and qualifying.
Well, really, the only thing I got is that NASCAR, that same article or wherever you read that, I read the same thing, and a little bit later they say that single car qualifying was never something they ever wanted to go back to. They have no intention of ever going back to it. And their reasoning for that was because it's boring and it's expensive, which I get, from a fan's perspective, from a TV perspective. Um, Single car qualifying is boring, and it is expensive to have, to be out there for 2 hours. But I kind of look at it from a driver and a team perspective, uh, where you're all lined up on pit road, ready to make your qualifying run, just kind of stand there waiting, watching car go around a couple laps, and the next one goes, and you can kind of stand there and talk with your other competitors, drivers, and other teams, and make friends for a couple hours and just have a good time. But that's not kind of NASCAR's main focus right now. I feel like NASCAR's main focus is trying to get those TV ratings up and get more fans to the track, which is totally understandable because that's what makes money, and money makes the cars go round. Uh, so I get it, but I just feel like maybe drivers have a better time if they went back to single car qualifying with the way things have gone the past couple weeks.
Yeah, to add on to that, Brian, I would agree with mostly that, but at the same time, I think drivers I mean, some drivers are going to like it better for open because if you think about it, you're kind of basing qualifying off a draw when you're single car, and if you draw a good number that's later, and say it's the cooler part
True.
of the day, it can skew qualifying results because that track
Yeah,
temp
weather.
and
Weather.
weather can affect that. And when you have a session like that, everybody has the same thing. Everybody's at the same disadvantage. Everybody has the same advantage, and that's what I like about it. But I see where you're coming from too. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of the things. Shoot me in the leg, or shoot me in the hand. So any,
What?
I don't know.
That's a good saying. I don't think that's an actual saying, but
It's
that's pretty good.
not. I made it up completely. I was gonna say something completely different, but it, like
What,
changed as I
shoot
was
you in the
saying.
leg or shoot you in the dick?
Yeah, true. But this, I think it'll help it maybe, but I guarantee this is not the last rule change we see in qualifying
Oh
this year.
no.
So
Oh god.
I think we'll see some more changes coming, but I think
There's a
it's a good
million
step at
changes.
least. So we'll see how Texas goes. All right, on to the
Speaking
big
of
subject.
changes,
Yeah, speaking of changes, 2020 is gonna be a wild ride, a new
it's the year,
ride,
man.
and I on my end I'm excited. So let's first go over these changes.
I'm pumped, dude. I'm pumped for this
Yeah, I am too, Brian.
schedule.
So major changes coming in NASCAR schedule. Um, First thing notably, Homestead Miami Speedway is no longer the host of the championship race. Which,
About damn time.
well, Homestead is a great racetrack. we got to give Homestead props for being a great multi-grid racetrack that puts on great racing. But with this, I don't want to call it a gimmick of a format where you have one race to decide a championship. But I will call it that. You need to
It
change
is
it
when
up.
it's the same track.
Yeah, you need to change it up, and because certain tracks suit teams better, certain tracks suit drivers better, and I think ISM Raceway is a great place to start it. I mean, you see crazy restarts. It's a short track with speedway tendencies, and so Phoenix well, it used to be Phoenix Raceway. It's now ISM Raceway. Will be the host of the championship race in 2020 for NASCAR's Cup Series. I think that's awesome, personally. Next subject that's changing: Daytona to host a regular season finale. Okay, let me get this out first. We'll talk about these after this. I'm gonna just give the major changes right now. Then we'll kind of discuss them from here. What we think about each of them. So Daytona is going to
Okay.
host their last race of the regular season before the playoffs start. Uh, this is a cool one. Pocono to host a doubleheader on Saturday and Sunday. So 2 Cup races in one weekend. Interesting. Bristol will also have a night race become the night race from Bristol will become a playoff race. So it'll be in round one of the playoffs, which I'll go over the playoffs rounds here in a sec. Indianapolis will take the position of Daytona the July 4th weekend for the Brickyard 400. And this one I love. Martinsville under lights on Mother's Day weekend, May 9th, on a Saturday.
Ah,
And then Darlington will also open the playoffs with the Southern 500 to open our playoffs. So some pretty major changes coming. Also, Homestead Miami still has a race. It will be in March 22nd, I believe. Um, so Homestead will be at the beginning of the year, pretty much. And also, Atlanta has moved back a couple weeks. I think that's pretty smart because Atlanta in February has some pretty funky weather. So I think it's moved back to like the fifth week instead of the second week. So give it a few more weeks to warm up in Atlanta. Um, and here's our 2020 playoffs rounds. So
well, you
round one,
missed a couple. You missed a couple weeks there.
what I miss?
Well, you have in 2020, NASCAR has a couple off weeks,
Oh yeah, that's
and
true.
that's due to the Olympics.
Yeah, we have a double, like where we do have one single off week where it's just one week. Then later in the year we do have 2 weeks in a row where it's it, and that is due to NBC's talking to NASCAR and saying, well, what can we do to help with the Olympics? And they don't really want the Olympics to ruin the ratings in NASCAR either, which it has done a little bit. Excuse it, not too much, but not too, But they don't want that, so we do have 2 off weeks in the middle of the year in a row. So here is our 2020 playoffs. Round one, we'll start at Darlington, like I said, with the Southern 500. Then we head to Richmond, and there to end round one is Bristol Night Race. So there's the Bristol Night Race that will be coming to the playoffs. I love that the Bristol is now in the playoffs. Huge fan of that.
Hmm.
Round
If
two,
you're in the area,
yeah,
that's going to be a race to go to because there's going to be a million pissed off people there.
yeah, that's for sure. Round two, we go to Las Vegas, Talladega, Charlotte, Roval. Very interesting schedule right there. Then off the round three, we go to Kansas, Texas, and Martinsville. So Martinsville will actually be the finale of round three now instead of the opener, which I think
There'll be
is
a
way
million
better.
pissed off people there too.
And I'll be there.
You have Bristol that ends a playoff round, and then you have Martinsville that ends a playoff round.
Right? And a Roval.
NASCAR
And a
was
road
really
course.
thinking
And a
this
road
through.
course. And then we got to go to the finale, of course, at ISM Speedway. Um, another short track. I think NASCAR should get a big 2 thumbs up on this. But
Hmm.
the thing I want to talk about first is, so we'll go through it first. First change, the big change is the ISM Speedway coming to host the championship race, and Homestead no longer being it. So what do you think about that, Brian?
Well, it's I'm kind of on the fence about it. Be honest. I'm glad they changed it from Homestead because you only go to Homestead once a year. It's always the last race, and it, you know if you make the Final Four and you've never been good at Homestead, well, you can pretty much just kiss the championship goodbye.
Right.
Um, but at the same time, at Phoenix, there's a handful of drivers that dominate Phoenix.
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott has been proved to
Pretty
be
good.
pretty good there. Kyle Larson is okay. Those are the first four drivers that come to mind. So to me, if you get Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch in the Final Four in next year, and you go to Phoenix, pretty much it's going to be one of them too.
Yeah.
Um, but I think definitely just let's get away from Homestead being the last race. That's kind of been. I never really remembered Atlanta or Rockingham being the finale. So for me, like my whole life that I can remember of NASCAR,
Homestead.
it's always been Homestead as the last race, and I'm not a huge fan of Homestead to begin with. So for me personally, I think it's a good change, and I think just a change in general,
Right.
everybody is gonna like.
Yeah. Really, to add to that, I'm just happy it's a short track, man, and
That
you know,
too, yeah.
it adds, I think, a different element to the final race. I think we may see a wreck for the championship. I think we could see
Hmm.
fists thrown. We could see. I don't even know. It's going to be epic. I'm excited for that race. I like Phoenix. I think it's a great racetrack. So I'm excited to see it become what it is now, and we'll just have to roll with the punches, I guess, as the year goes and see how it all plays out. But I'm happy for that change. I love Homestead, but I think it's had its time. Never know, it might come back. I think a rotation of this race could be a good thing, where 1 year we go a mile and a half, 1 year we go to a short track, 1 year we never go to a plate
Yep,
track. No,
yep.
don't do
I
that.
think that kind of levels the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely does. I completely agree there,
If you
Brian.
make it to the Final Four, you
Yeah.
know, that's another added pressure to some of these teams is that whatever that last race is, if you know you're really really good there and you
Yep.
do have a championship team, well then you know that if you make the Final Four, you got a really good chance.
You
And
definitely
if you
do.
don't make it, you might win the race, but who the hell cares?
Right. So we I think we both give a pretty much thumbs up on that. The next one is the Daytona to host regular season finale. So that'll be in August, I believe, or I believe so. Yeah, because the schedule, because of the doubleheader at Pocono, will end 1 week earlier. So we'll end at November 8th instead of like November. What would it be like
Yeah,
12th or 11th or something.
14th or
14th.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's the same amount of races, but because of that doubleheader at Pocono, it
Yeah, one less
condenses the
week.
weeks down.
Yeah, so
And if it wasn't for the Olympics, it would end even earlier.
right, and I actually this is the one that Daytona moved to the host the regular season finale. I'm not a fan of that one. Um,
What?
I think it's cool to have it host the regular season finale, but the July 4th race at Daytona, I don't know. I think that was such a cool race, and since we're talking about July 4th, might as well include Indianapolis. The Brickyard 400 will now be the July 4th weekend race, which I'm cool with, but I'm thinking about all those people in Indiana, how hot it is in July and humid. Uh,
How hot do you think it is in Florida in July?
yeah, but it's a night race.
Oh, that don't mean nothing.
Yeah, but it's a night
Come on, both
race.
of us live in North Carolina. You know,
No,
in
dude,
July at
trust me.
nighttime, it could get
Indianapolis, no.
down to 85.
Ask
How
anybody.
cool does that get?
Indianapolis during that week or during July is ridiculous, bro. The drivers say that's the hottest racetrack to go to. Fans say it's the hottest racetrack. It's been notorious. That's why they moved it back to actually the regular season finale last year or this year and last year because it was in September where it was a little bit cooler for fans to be able to go and enjoy it. I think it's all right,
But
but it I still think Daytona. could be the July 4th race because it could be on July 4th because it's a Saturday night race. The Indianapolis race will be July 5th, the day after. I mean, I understand it. That's probably the only thing so far in the schedule that changed that I was not the biggest fan of, but you know, I think it could be good as a regular season finale. I'm open to change. I'm very open to change. I'm the type of person I like change and I like new things, so I can take it, but it's just all like Bob says actually right here because I know Bob goes to Daytona a lot. He's a Floridian, so he says
Floridian.
he says August 29th at Daytona sounds weird. Has always been the 4th of July weekend, and he was also saying night helps a lot there, and it's just interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you know, Daytona, NASCAR, July 4th, it all kind of goes together.
Yeah,
Um,
like America.
but at the same time, you know, at least they chose
They did show you
another
something.
American
Yeah, I
track. And
agree with
when you
that.
think American tracks, you think Daytona,
Indianapolis. Yeah.
Indianapolis. And so at least they didn't do
At
like
least they didn't do them dirty
Kentucky.
and do like yeah. They didn't do
So
like some random ass track in
yeah,
the middle of
so at
nowhere.
least it's another like track that they are gonna sell a lot of tickets
Let's get
at.
lights, Indy.
Um, well, see, I was about to say what would be really interesting if they get lights and then NASCAR has their Brickyard 400 on Saturday,
That'd be
day
badass.
before the Indy 500 on Sunday.
Wow, that'd be badass. That would be pretty sick. Yeah, they
You know
couldn't do
how
that
many
though. That
people would
wouldn't
be in
work out. It wouldn't
Indianapolis that
work out.
weekend?
Oh, it'd be the biggest motorsports event ever, but it wouldn't work out due to the Firestone rubber and the Goodyear rubber. They would not want to do
Oh, screw the rubbers.
that. Screw the
Or
rubbers.
sometimes you don't even need
Sometimes you gotta
rubbers.
have a baby. Raw dog. just
Yeah, well, just the rims. That's it.
they'll just
Just
go.
rim it.
They'll just
Just
go out
rim it.
there with some. They'll just go out there and spray some water on the racetrack to wash the rubber off. But
uh,
just I don't know. I that was the only thing so far that really I had a little
the
issue with,
double header at
but
Pocono.
I will give you this, Brian. The indie thing makes it better, being a special race still. So
Yeah,
it
because to be, I'm kind of still 50-50 on it
yeah,
because, like I said, Daytona NASCAR July 4th, it's like it fits perfectly. Um, but moving it to Indy, at the very least, it's Indy.
it's still got that. Yeah, still at least something big. July 4th weekend. Okay, so next, I'm excited for this one because it hadn't happened in the modern era NASCAR, and this is going back way back to the roots of
S-
NASCAR.
I don't know how it's gonna work.
I think I don't. Yeah, they actually haven't gave us much information on how it is going to work.
Like they're gonna have two qualifyings. They're gonna use
Yeah,
the
see,
same
that's my
grid. Or...
question, Brian. Do they do like a reverse grid for the next race? That would
Oh,
be
that's a good
cool.
idea.
But what we're talking about here, guys, is the Pocono to host a doubleheader. So what that means is, um, on they actually on Friday they'll have I believe two races. I believe they'll have the truck and the Xfinity race. Then Saturday they'll have the Cup race, and then Sunday they'll have a Cup race. So two Cup races in one weekend. I think it's a cool idea. Why not try it at one of the most, I wouldn't say boring racetracks, but one of the more tracks that get spread out, I guess you could say, to add some excitement.
As a fan, you have to be patient.
Yeah, and I think they could do something cool with reverse grids here, like you said, Brian. So qualify on Friday, for the first race. Whatever you finish in the first race, you get the same amount of points. But I think you should reverse the grid for the next race because that's how
But do you reverse the qualifying grid or do you reverse the race
reverse the
finish?
race finish. I think, and the reason why I say that is because Formula 2 does this. So that's the lower junior series of Formula 1. They have two races each weekend. They race, and
Oh, I
they
didn't know that.
reverse the grid for the second race based off the first race. And the second race is also a sprint race. So it's a shorter race. Now, I don't know what NASCAR is
Oh.
going to do about the lengths of these races. I don't know if they're both going to be 500-mile races, which I don't expect that.
Mm. Oh,
Um,
1,000 miles in a week. Man, you know how much weight a driver would lose?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be 250 miles and 250 miles, or they could do
Could be 300 and 300,
300 and 300, or they could do 400 and then 200 on
400
the
and
next
250.
race, or I don't, especially if it's like I don't know what they could do, but I think it's a cool idea. I
It
think
leaves a
the
lot of
double header,
options open.
it does. It leaves some pretty cool things. Um, Bob, okay, so Bob, everybody's saying, "Oh my God, Zach, shaking my head." I guess they're talking about our rubber
Yeah,
talks.
for a look. Yep, yep.
Uh, sorry about that, guys. It's the Dirty Air podcast. If you didn't know, it gets a little dirty sometimes. But Bob out there in the chat, he says he likes to see it, but he feels bad for Pocono fans having one weekend in 2020 to go to a race. Robert
Yeah,
says
I
two races, no
yeah.
quality, just like you said, reverse the field. See, I think that's cool. You know the cool thing though, Bob. Actually, what Pocono is doing, it's still the same price to go. Like you don't have say you buy a race for the Saturday race, or I mean buy a ticket for a cup race. You can go to the Saturday and the Sunday. So it's not
Yeah,
like
so
you have to
you
buy
get
two tickets.
it's like buy two get one free.
Yeah, so I think that right there is a lot of value. So it it's gonna be interesting. I think it's a cool change. It's the first of its
And Robert,
kind.
I know Robert, you're listening. If you don't go, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, Robert, you better go to that. That'd be cool. We'll go a double header. Um, yeah, I mean, pretty much that's all I gotta say. I think it's just a cool idea. And like they can do cool things. Like we're talking about the reverse
Yeah, I mean,
grids,
they could
different.
even,
Yeah,
they could reverse the grid the second day from the first day, or you could do,
jumble the grid. Like do like
yeah, you could
odd
do,
numbers. I don't even know. Like
yeah,
yeah,
that's true. Or you could even do split it if you have a 500-mile race, do 250, 250, and it could just be like, once you hit 250 miles, uh, so then you give out the points like it's a final race, and then the next day pick up where you left off, and it's
yeah,
another race. I don't think that's what they'll do because that's kind of crappy
yeah.
for
That'd be
competition.
kind of poopy. Yeah, it's
But
definitely gonna be two different cup races. I know that. So
yeah,
gonna be
and
interesting.
if you're good at Pocono, double up,
Double up, dude.
mm,
Think about that. If someone sweeps the
double
first double
dip.
header, that's gonna feel good. So, what if Kyle Busch wins all five races or all four races? He does a quad,
That would
the
that would
quad.
be a first.
Yeah, that would be the definite first. Um,
You know what? He'll probably do it. Calling it here now.
yeah,
He's gonna do it.
he probably will. Wow. So Robert he said, "Oh, I'll be going 40 for one race or 40 for one ticket. So overall $20 a race. That's a deal."
That's good value.
Yeah, that's a deal. So I agree with you
And
there, Robert.
NASCAR's probably doing that because they know that racing too good at that track.
Right. So and Pocono does have good
Even though I
owners.
love
That's
that
one thing.
track.
So next topic, Bristol night race becoming a playoff cutoff race in round
Mm,
one.
mm, mm.
Big thumbs up,
They,
double
be-
thumbs up. I don't think we have to talk too much about that one because
they better get that sticky stuff right.
yeah, they better get that traction compound down there and put that on the bottom there and let them
Yeah,
go at
which
it.
it's the same stuff that they use on drag strips for
Yep.
NHRA. And actually, next month I'm going to an NHRA drag race,
You
and
steal some.
This is the first time I'm actually going on Sunday instead of Saturday. So usually I go and watch the qualifying stuff and maybe the first round of the lower series. But this time I'm going on Sunday.
Nice.
So
You actually get to see the finals.
this is all you win or you go home. And what they do at the beginning of Sunday is the drivers and the crews and all the fans, if you get there early enough, you can actually walk the strip. You can walk all the way down and all the way back with, and catch up with whoever you want to catch up with. But, they got that sticky stuff on there and they warn you, they say, don't wear flip flops or you're going to lose them.
Yeah,
Because it's
exactly.
so sticky, you got to wear shoes. So it'll be interesting to see how sticky that stuff is. I'm kind of curious.
Definitely. You know, I think the Bristol night race becoming a playoff race, first of all, and then being a cutoff, is a big thumbs up for me. I think it's a dream come true as a NASCAR fan. Bristol, I think, has been kind of like not forgotten, but they've been trying to bring it back, of course, with this BHT and traction compound stuff. So I'm excited for that. I love Bristol. Love that track. I think it
I
always
used
puts on a pretty good race, and so good stuff. NASCAR putting that in the playoffs. Um, but my favorite, we move on to the next one. If you're good, Brian, with Bristol.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Bristol for me is kind of forgettable ever since they had the progressive banking.
Yeah, same. I kind of like the old Bristol too, but
Yep.
it's still Bristol at the same time. So
Make Bristol great again.
they're trying. So the best announcement out of all this, I think, because this man right here, and I think the other man in here, or little boy.
Look,
I'm just messing with you, but we got a really big thing coming. Martinsville will be under the lights on Mother's Day weekend on Saturday, May 9th. And as a person that goes to Martinsville all the time and a avid Martinsville lover, I cannot wait because we got to experience. Me and Brian actually did get the
we did.
experience.
And it was my first race at Martinsville, actually.
Yeah, we got to experience the first um under the lights race at Martinsville.
Unintended.
Unintended, yeah. This will be the first official one that starts under the lights and be a Saturday night race. Of course, next year. But we got to see it, and that track is beautiful under the lights. I've never,
It's so pretty.
yeah. It's just, man, it's
Because yeah,
just
what happened was is that weekend for whatever reason they were having qualifying right before the race, and uh, some rain came in, and so that delayed qualifying, which delayed the race. And it just so happened that that was the first time NASCAR came here
with lights.
since they put up the lights. And so, oh, we don't have to delay the race until tomorrow. We can just turn on the lights. And so we actually, I think it was about the last 100 laps.
Yep.
It was under the lights. And that
And
was
that was the
when
Chase
Denny
Elliott, Denny
Hamlin
Hamlin.
and Chase Elliott. And so, and that was kind of the last big thing that happened at Martinsville. So next
Definitely.
year in the fall, under the lights, and Martin, oh,
Well, under
it's,
the fall will
oh,
be a daytime race. It's the first
oh,
race,
that's right. I
May,
got
and they moved it
confused.
back from March. So we just had Martinsville this
It'll be a
past
little
weekend.
warmer.
Yeah, it'll be in May 9th.
It's
So
cold up there in March, man.
yeah, it's cold, especially at night. It would be terrible. So I'm really happy they moved it back to May 9th on Mother's Day weekend, which is cool. Um, and on a Saturday night, like, uh, I I'm literally like, I'm ready. Let's get to 2020 now, please. Take me there. Where's the time machine? Actually,
I
no,
can
I don't
knock
want to
you out
age
and
no
put you
more.
in a coma, and maybe they'll
Well,
wake you up in time.
okay, I don't want to do an artificial time machine. Okay, I want a real one so I can come back too. Um, but yeah, I think everybody big thumbs up on the Martinsville night race. I think everybody was looking for that once they put lights there, and that's short track racing. That's my thing. That this is
Under the
under the
lights.
lights Saturday night racing, beating, banging, punching each other in the face, cussing at each other, spitting tobacco in the other driver's
What?
eyes. You gotta have your big old dip in. I'm just kidding.
Not if you drove. What is it? The 11 car was a skull car back then.
I don't
So
even know, but
I can't
this
remember the
I think
numbers.
it's just going back. I think a lot of these changes are going back to the roots, and then another roots thing with our next topic. After we're so excited about Martinsville, Darlington, the Southern 500 will open the NASCAR playoffs. So I think that adds even more to the crown jewel of Darlington for winning that race. And yeah, going back, I think this is a lot of going back to the roots here. Wouldn't you say, Brian?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of that has to do with the new management.
That is a fact right there. Uh, you know,
Because he's not on cocaine driving his car and running stop signs.
and drinking. He's not only on
Yeah,
cocaine,
that too.
he was drunk. Yeah, I think Brian France is the biggest bust of all time, and I think Jim France is a very smart man. I think he's making very good changes to our sport because these changes, man,
He gets it.
he gets it. He definitely does, Brian. And we're just happy we're going through a different change here. Like it's going to be amazing. Even for think about it, Brian Bob just brought something up in the chat that about it's going to even affect our league races too now with these changes because we follow the NASCAR schedule.
I
So
don't
like,
even want to think about that.
I think it's cool. I
I
mean, it
think that's
adds a
gonna screw
new.
me, to be honest.
Well, sometimes not everything is about you, Brian. Okay,
Uh,
it's all about going back to the roots, and I
yeah, it'll be good.
I think it's a good
Well,
change.
it'll be good if iRacing gets it right.
Yeah,
iRacing they gotta add the lights at Martinsville.
yeah,
Uh, they've got a lot of work ahead of them.
definitely. In Martinsville, they definitely will have to rescan because the lights weren't there last time they were there. So unfortunately, that track
They gotta
will,
fix the lights too,
yeah.
because you know I'm doing VR. I don't know if it's a. I guess it's just a
I think
VR
it's a
thing,
VR
but
thing because I don't have that problem. But
I don't have the light stands.
the
I just
poles.
got orbs of light floating in the sky.
He's got little stars and suns on his around the track. It's like a mini what is that? Oh man, what is the thing that like you go to the place and look? You sitting down and lay on your back and look at the
What?
stars.
The
Observatory. It's an observatory.
oh
You got a
yeah,
little observatory above
it's
each
kind
of
of
the
it kind of
tracks.
looks kind of like sci-fi. It's just got like orbs of light just floating,
Right?
nothing.
It's like what that
It's kind of weird.
that God. and
Yeah, there's angels around the track.
really the only other change we can talk about for the schedule now after we've gone through all that is the playoffs. Do you think it's we won't go into like all of it, but do you think it's better?
Oh yeah,
Let you talk about it.
oh yeah, it's a lot better because when they went to this new playoff for well, even just the chase format, they didn't change the schedule. Then they went to the playoff format with the rounds and all this, and they didn't change the schedule. And I think this is really, this is the first time they said, okay, we have this format. What is a schedule that's really going to fit this format? As opposed to, well, this is the schedule we have, and we're just going to put this format in here. So it's really kind of finely tuned, I think, and it's going to be a lot better.
I agree. Really, what I look at is you got Bristol first round, with Darlington, Richmond. Tracks with a rich history. In round one, super cool. You got Las Vegas. Like round two is crazy. Think about that. You go to Las Vegas, a mile and a half. Then you go to Talladega, 2.5 mile super speedway where you could say is always a wild card. Then you go to almost another wild card in the Charlotte Roval to end the round. Where
Huge wild card.
like super wild card round in round two. I think Las Vegas is the only thing guys can say we know what we can do there. But these other two, those are gonna be question marks for a lot of teams. I think. In round three, of course, you have Kansas and Texas, which is whatever. Kansas I think is a pretty good racetrack. Texas is pretty good too. But then you got Martinsville to end it. That makes any round great. Martinsville, we've seen Martinsville be the best race in pretty much the whole ever since they started this playoff stuff. And then ISM to finish it, so a new track finale, and I couldn't be more happy with the changes NASCAR's made
It's
with
good.
this. I think it's a good thing.
9 out of 10.
Yep.
9 out of 10.
Yeah, yeah. I'd give it a 9 out of 10 for sure, Brian. 9 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10.
What would make it a 10 out of 10 for
A 10 out of 10 for me. Ah, man, I, well, I would say, okay, I give it a 10 out of 10 actually for what they could do this year because this year, if anybody doesn't know, or the coming year, is the final year of the Speedway corporations and stuff contract with NASCAR. So NASCAR can't add any new tracks. That's why we haven't seen any new tracks added. So I think this is most they could do with the tracks they have at least. But if we could add new tracks, I definitely want to see more, a few more short tracks on the schedule, new ones, and I also want to see maybe a road course or two, like Road America or Ohio or something like that. Because I don't
or
understand
just a brand new short track.
something. There's
Have a
even a brand
brand
new
new
short track,
short
yeah,
track.
like Circuit of the Americas in Texas,
Oh, that
like
would be cool.
just some stuff. That's 2020 21, so we'll have to see when that comes. But I for what they did is about as good as they could.
Yeah, with what they got, they did good.
Yeah, I think Martinsville maybe could have been a good finale ending, but I don't think they want to see
Well,
people
look, I think you're a little
destroying.
biased
Yeah,
with saying that. I think you're a little
I agree.
biased.
I'm biased as hell when it comes to that. I'm proud. And Robert posted in the chat, Rockingham. Yeah, I would love to see Rockingham make a return to the schedule.
North
Maybe
Wilkesboro.
North Wilkesboro, which that one's got a long way to go, but you know, the Nashville Fairgrounds, stuff like
If I
that.
win the lottery,
Iowa, be on the schedule in the Cup Series. Just just some overall like. What about uh Indianapolis Raceway Park? Like there's tracks out there that we can go find. We just got to build them up, and it's gonna take some time. So overall, I gotta give NASCAR a big two thumbs up. Changes. I'm excited, super excited for next year now. Hopefully, we can get a better package. I'm gonna beat that like a dead horse all year here in this podcast if we didn't know that. But I'm excited. Pretty
me
much the
too.
only thing I got to add to, I guess, the schedule. Really, I know
Uh,
we're
Keith
about.
asks, oh, sorry, Zach, but Keith asks here, do you think they will add more dirt tracks to the trucks? Uh, I
That's a.
personally, I don't think so.
I don't
Because
think so. Not yeah.
Eldora is like, because Tony Stewart owns that thing, and it's a bigger short track, so it kind of fits the trucks pretty well. I think that's kind of the only thing they're gonna do there. But I know the lower series below the trucks, they run a lot more dirt tracks,
Yeah, K&N does. Yeah, and the way I look
which
at
would
it,
be cool to see iRacing do. But
I've seen some guys talking about a cup race at a dirt track, and I don't ever think we'll be on dirt again. I just the cars are not built for that. The trucks fit it more with the wheelbases they have. I think as far as we'll ever
you
see
can
is the
make the
truck
car
race.
do it though.
You definitely can make it.
You just gotta jack it up a couple inches.
Yeah, and but the still the big problem with the cars is just not. I don't think they would put on a good race there. I just don't think they would, and uh,
But yeah, I mean, you're pretty much giving Kyle Larson a free
yeah,
win.
yeah, pretty much. But it's still one of the things that man, like I think the truck race at Eldora is a cool thing. I think they could add another track, but like Brian said, I don't think so. I don't think it's coming. You never know. You never know. NASCAR hadn't announced anything with the Truck Series or Xfinity Series schedule, so
That's true. I
still in
mean,
the
I
open there.
guess are those open for big changes like the Cup?
Yeah, I think they're the Cup Series is the big one under contract. I think. I don't think Xfinity Series has like super long
But
deals
they're
or
not
anything.
under contract or nothing.
I'm not sure. That would be something we'd have to look into.
That's good. Yeah, that's
But yeah, I
we got our work cut out for us this week.
right, yeah. I know that everybody out there also the podcast has gone 17 minutes over what we normally do, but that's because this
Lot
is
to
a
talk
lot of
about.
news. We do have one more subject, and it won't be too long, so we'll get everybody out of here in a little bit. But the the big thing is we had issues here at the beginning of the podcast, so hopefully next week I can get it on Facebook too, streaming and stuff like that. So just a really big week in NASCAR and unfortunate uh, turn of mistakes from Zach Hall. He doesn't know what he's doing, so we're running a little bit longer. But the next subject we'll move on to since we do like to talk a little bit about sim racing, and we have you know this community we
What
have
am I gonna bitch about this week?
yeah, true. Um, just this is a huge announcement right here. One of our good buddies, he started at. I gotta say this. Our sponsors is racing. We're sponsored by Race Freaks Sim Racing, so go check out Race Freaks Sim Racing League on iRacing and Facebook and all that. Also sponsored by Freaky Fast Broadcasting. They're in the chat, and so go check them out. But
Also known as Robert. We
yeah,
refer to
Robert.
him
Yeah,
every
we refer to
he
him a lot
runs
as
Freaky
Robert.
Fast Broadcasting over there.
He's the man behind the account. But
He's the Wizard of Oz.
we've had a good buddy for a while, and his name is Benjamin Nelson. He is in the Peak Series right now. Gotta say, I'm pretty glad he did start his first league race at Racing Freaks and kicked all our butts to the point where we're like, man, you gotta go pro. You don't need to be racing here. And he went on his journey, and after 2 years, he's made it to the Peak Series. And tonight was a big night for him. He finished 15th, also in the peak race tonight. So his best finish in the peak race was tonight.
which is really good
Very good,
considering.
very good considering exactly, Brian, that it was announced today that he has joined Team Dillon Esports. So him and Blake Reynolds, another fellow peak driver, will be joining racing under Austin Dillon's new esport team that he's formed, and I could not be more happy for the kid. I mean, he's not a kid. I guess you say he's a couple years younger than me, so I can't really call him kid. But
I
my
think
one of
he's a
my
year
good
older than me.
friends, yeah, one of my good friends on the iRacing taught me a lot, like a lot, and kicked my butt too. So it's amazing to see him get the recognition that he deserves. So we got to give a huge shout out to Ben Nelson. Go check him out on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can his Twitter handle and his Facebook channel name is in there to it. And I know Brian, you like to spell it out for him.
INTHERE 2IT. That's the number 2 numeral. I actually just put it in the chat there. So
Oh, nice. That look at Brian. He's proactive here.
yeah,
But
exactly. But for
yeah.
me, it's actually pretty special because I went to school with this guy. We went to same community college. Did uh, the automotive program over there is 2-year program, and I was a semester ahead of him. So I think this semester is his last semester. So and it's pretty funny because I met him on iRacing first, and we kind of my class and his class shared the shop together for a whole semester before I even realized that that was him. Uh,
That
so it
is
was
the
kind of
crazy.
cool. And there's actually a local indoor go kart track, gasoline go karts. They go about 35 miles an hour. So for a go kart, they're pretty beefy, but definitely not the fastest you could go. Um, but I would go there a lot of. There was about a 6 month period where I would go there about once a week and just working on my lap times, getting them down, and then uh, found out he still goes there quite often, and he was telling me his lap times, and it's like, man, I gotta pick up a second. Where the hell am I gonna pick up a second on my lap? And so, it's one of those things for me. It's like, like here's a guy who did the league racing thing, worked his way up. Now he's in peak. I've met the guy, and there's some. I won't. I hate to call it real life racing because it really ain't racing. It's just kind of for fun. But real life driving competitiveness there. So he kind of does drive me a little bit to do better and better. Since he does, I mean, he lives. I'm in Fuquay. He's in Cary, which is about. I mean, I work in Cary, so it's like we're 30 minutes away from each other. So it's kind of a cool deal for me personally, and it's really cool to see him get a ride that he definitely deserves with Austin Dillon. And Damari actually does take a visit over to RCR and meet all the guys over there, including Austin Dillon. So uh, just super super happy for him, and just kind of gives me an extra gear to go into and kind of give myself a little extra motivation.
Right.
It's just like, man, he can do it, and so can anybody else. You just got to put your mind and whatever skills you got to
Definitely.
it.
Yeah, Brian, I gotta echo that, man. Been racing with Ben for a while now. Doing a lot of endurance racing with him.
Awesome, dude.
Awesome, awesome dude. Nice,
Really.
nice, well mannered kid. Never
You'll
gets
never meet
mad.
a nicer person.
Yeah, really will. He's never. He barely even says a cuss word. So I mean, the kid is
The-
great.
he'll actually start to say one and he'll catch himself and stop him.
Yeah, he
Stop
will.
himself.
Yeah, I apologize. So definitely, as you got in the chat there, guys, everybody watching, in there to it. Go check him out on YouTube. Tell him Dirty Air Pocket. Go if you really like. Go check him out. He streams a lot of his races at SRA, a league that's a very competitive league, and does very well in it. You can trust me. You can learn a lot from that guy. He is an amazing driver on iRacing,
Yeah, the
and
couple times we've gone into like some practice sessions with him, he'll tell me. just a couple things. I learn something from him every single
Yep.
time, and wherever we go, I'll pick up a couple tips just off of what he just tells me. I ain't even gotta watch him do it. He'll just tell me something, and boom.
Very, very good at. So go subscribe to him on YouTube, everybody. I highly, highly recommend it. Great driver on iRacing. You can also tell him Dirty Air Podcast guys sent you there. And also that is his Twitter handle. So if you want to go if you do have a Twitter, please go congratulate him on getting this huge signing to Austin Dillon's team. And I definitely became more of an Austin Dillon fan today. Let's just say that Austin Dillon went up in my NASCAR driver like meter a little bit. So
Yeah, I think I liked him about maybe 30% before.
right,
Now I like him about 50%.
yeah, he's getting
He's
there. He's
growing on me
growing
a
on
little
you.
bit. Yeah, he's a grower.
He's a grower, not a shower. That's right. Just like Kyle Busch.
uh,
But
Callbacks.
yep, and it's really exciting for us to see one of our good buddies do. So like Brian says, it gives us motivation. As next week we will be in Road to Pro, for Martinsville. And,
Martinsville.
been working hard. We tested today, and I think we're making strides, slowly but surely.
We are. Think we still got a couple tents we gotta make up. I think.
Yeah, I think we can definitely make up some more and make it more finely tuned to what Brian wants, and maybe even I can teach this guy here a few little things about
Sure.
Martinsville.
Well, what's interesting is we're both fairly competitive at Martinsville, but we both drive it completely differently.
Yep.
So definitely for me, since I'm playing the role as driver and Zach's playing the role as crew chief, for me it's really important to get his feedback on what I'm doing and see what he thinks I need to be doing. Because if I can kind of combine what I'm doing, what he's doing, it might
Yeah. Yeah.
might be the
Think it-
golden way.
Yeah, and I think Martinsville more than anything is a track that you can have amazing setup and run 30th. Puts it in the driver's hands a little more, and I think
It makes
I
me
might be able
nervous.
to I Brian, like I said, he's a very well driven driver at Martinsville.
Oh,
He's
stop it.
well, I mean, he just won our league race there. I wouldn't call it a league race, but
Well,
I wouldn't call it a
that's
race, but
that's for a totally different podcast.
yeah, right. But it's one of the things where he might be able to learn a little something from what I do there, and I definitely say it's one of my better tracks. And this week, I think driving from the driver's seat will be a more of an effect on the car than anything. Having a setup's gonna help, but if the driver's not there, then I don't think you're gonna get nowhere. And I got a hella driver in my car, and Category 5. As you can see, it's Category 528 down there. You can come watch this. I'm gonna try to stream it this week. It's tough, when you're. I don't want to give like I gotta make some stuff to cover up stuff because I don't want to give out setup stuff, and it's a hard game out here. You can't be giving up too much stuff. So Ed Burrell said he's happy I chose the soundbars. That was a good choice, Ed. Trust me.
Yeah, you definitely didn't miss much.
Yeah, you missed driving around in pace
Missed
laps.
113 caution laps out of 200 laps.
Yeah, we won't talk about it no more because it just makes the blood boil
Yep,
more. But
that's it. That's it. That's
uh,
it. No more.
so that's pretty much it for us this week, though, guys. Here at the Dirty Air Podcast. Unless Brian, you got anything to add in here?
No, I don't have a. Oh, you watched it all. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was
No,
bad.
I don't have anything.
Well, he always has nothing for us. Gosh, man, why do I even ask?
Ain't got nothing.
Well, I thank you guys, everybody tuned in. Ed, Keith, Robert, and Bob. Just really, really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. Sorry about Facebook tonight. I know some people probably did try to tune in there, and they're like, "What the hell?" But I don't know. Robert's gonna help me out there with whatever the hell I messed up. So blame Zach. That's the hashtag blame Zach. Put that in the chat.
God, Zach again.
So thanks everybody for tuning in. Did an hour and a half this week. We're breaking records.
Yeah, we did.
But
Yeah.
Really want to appreciate everybody, and also shout out to our sponsor here, Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You can check them out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Mixer, Twitch, pretty much any platform that has
Anything that you can
streaming.
stream on, yeah,
They do it.
exactly.
And you can check us out there on. Me and Brian actually are commentators on there on Thursday nights at the Nora at 9 o'clock. Also the Earl on Sunday nights at 9 o'clock, and out Racing Freaks on Saturday night. That's the league we run in, and that's at 9:30. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Hit that like button, that share,
Like,
subscribe,
share,
tick the
hit that
bell.
bell.
Yeah, that gives you
Yeah.
notifications when we go live, and I really appreciate everybody out there. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great week.
Later, fellers.